Keyshawn Davis is not a man to be played with. He went out there and beat Gustavo Lemos like he stole something. I mean, he patiently kind of sized him up for the first round, seemed to be waiting a little bit, even though he was calm, in control, looking at the situation. But man, when that second round came out, he just pulls back from that left hook, hits him with the counter right, drops him, and then just starts to unload a barrage. Man, the ref went running in there so fast, he fell down. He must have felt like he had to save that dude. Like, he went out there and just put it on him, man. And let me tell you something. There was a lot of people going into this fight on two separate occasions who were thinking that Gustavo Lemos could give this man trouble. Right, on the one hand, we saw what he had done in previous fights. He was a guy who was fighting at 140, like a naturally bigger man. He had shown some skills and some power, and he was rough and tumble and everything. Everyone wanted to see how Keyshawn Davis is going to be able to handle this. Right, we've heard a lot of the buzz. We've seen him getting built up. This is going to be the toughest fight that he has. How is he going to be able to break it down? So that was kind of the talk going into it at the very first when they were saying Lemos is a legit challenger. He's a guy that could potentially give him some trouble. And then we see the weigh-ins. This dude comes in 6 pounds, man, 2 weight classes over. The fight's contracted at 135 pounds. A man comes in weighing 141. You can't be more egregious than that. You have to look and think. The man never even attempted to make weight. This was all about coming into Keyshawn Davis's hometown, knowing that he wasn't going to be able to turn the fight down, knowing that at the last minute, he wasn't going to be able to say no. You think about that. Oh, just say no. Like, dude, Keyshawn Davis is in such a spot at that point. Because on the one hand, you've got all of the fans. And the fans matter. You need the fans. You got all the fans expecting to see you, paying tickets, making arrangements and accommodations to be there. You don't want to let them down. Then on the other hand, you got your promoter. In this case, that's Top Rank. But you got your promoter who invested all of this money into the event. Did all of the things. And now there's going to be a loss. They're going to have to refund tickets. They're going to have to do all kinds of stuff if you don't show up to fight. Everybody wants you to fight. Yet at the same time, we know that if you take one loss in your career, one bad night at the office, so to speak, it can be incredibly detrimental. It can not just set you back years. It could set back your entire career. How and when you get a world title shot, the potential payouts that you make, all kinds of stuff can be affected by that one loss. Gustavo Lemos is a vet, man. He understands how all of this works. So he's like, look, there's no way this dude's going to turn down this fight. I'm going to do what Ryan Garcia did, more so. Ryan Garcia came in 3 pounds overweight. I'm coming in 6 pounds overweight. Like, I'm going to come in here. I'm going to force the situation. This dude's going to have to fight me. I'm going to knock him out. Wow. That couldn't have backfired worse for dude. Not only did he lose a significant portion of his purse by coming in so much overweight, but then he goes out there and gets embarrassed. Goes out there and gets smoked in the second round, man. Throwing these looping, lunging, wide punches. Coming out there just, I mean, looking like he was in a lower class than Keyshawn Davis. So my hat's off to Keyshawn Davis, man, because he came into this one and not only did you have the hometown fight and everything that could potentially go wrong with that, because we've seen a lot of fighters in the past get these hometown fights and come out and underperform. And it's one of the reasons the promoters don't really like doing it with young guys, because they get into their hometown and the hometown fight and they start feeling good and it's all the buzz and everything that's going on. And before you know it, these guys aren't focused on the fight like they need to be and they drop the ball. So on the one hand, you've got just a natural problem with the homecoming fight. But then you've got it elevated a little bit due to the fact that Keyshawn Davis is now like really starting to become a big name guy. And there's a lot of promotional muscle and money being put behind him. And then all of a sudden, boom, here we go with it at the very end with the weight over. Like, he had a lot on his plate, man. Like, I guarantee you, as a young man at this part of his career, when he's ready to just bust through and just trying to become the best that he can possibly be, like, there was a lot going into this decision, and it wasn't exactly easy, and he probably felt a lot of pressure. And even though he's so talented and he's been on an international stage when he was an amateur and all the things that he's done, my hat's off to the man. My hat's off to him. Because not only did he make the right decision in the way that he took this fight and went about his business, but you could tell that he was prepared. You could tell that he didn't get flustered. You could tell that he's got the mental makeup to be able to go out there and perform under the bright lights, big fights against big names and make things happen. On top of that, you look at the skills. The skills were on full display. Okay, now I'll be the first to admit, how much can we really see in 5 minutes? Because that's all it took. This dude blasted him out of there early. So what we saw, great. I don't necessarily think we saw anything that we hadn't seen before, but I feel like we saw it refined to a little bit higher level. The punches were a little more crisp. Patience was a little bit there. The power was on full display. So we got to see all of those things that we wanted to see. Now we got to think about what's going to be next, because that's what a fight like this was for. A fight like this was to build up really to what was going to be next. Gustavo Lemos was never the end game, right? We see how he's been talking in the media. We see how he's been getting back and forth into it on Twitter and things like that with the biggest name in the division, Gervonta Davis. Now, look, we know Gervonta Davis has this fight scheduled with Lamont Roach, so it's not like it's going to be happening next, but it's definitely a fight that could be happening in the future. And with all the back and forth and the way that it's building up, you're going to get a little bit more fan buzz to it. Is Keyshawn Davis ready for that? Now, I'm going to come out right now and say, as much as I was impressed with him last night, as much as I've been impressed with him in the past, no, he's not ready to be stepping in there with their Gervonta Davis yet. But the truth is that he doesn't have to. He can get another fight. He can maybe get two more fights before he steps in against a big name guy like that, just so that he can be that much more prepared, that much better, that much more ready for the situation. I don't have any reason to believe that he has trouble making 135. So I think that he could push this out a fight or two and everything would still be good. But I'll tell you what, man, the man is progressing. The man is getting better. He's evolving. His skills are just sharp. He's obviously in there with a great camp. But it's like, whoo, man, I want to see him against the best in the division, but I also want him to pump his brakes just a little bit, and we see what happens. Right? He came in, he was ranked number 3. Like, it's going to be good stuff in the future. That performance that he put on was very impressive against an opponent that actually, shows up and has done things in the past. So let me know what you guys think. Were you as impressed as I was with the performance that he put on last night? And what do you think is going to be next for Keyshawn Davis?